What's going on, y'all? I want to give you my first impressions of Akai MPC Beats. So this is the free version of the MPC software that Akai released a few weeks ago, and it's a free version of the main version of the MPC software that you get with the flagship MPCs that you purchase. So I was happy to see this come out because I used to own a MPC 2000 XL, so I felt this would be, pretty cool to get that MPC feel, back into my, production. And I had an MPC element that I reviewed 6 years ago and really wasn't happy with where the software was at that point. I see that this has came a long way in the 6 years, but I still see some things that I complained about then that's still present now. We'll get into that later, but I want to just define what I mean by first impression here. So I'm not going to call this a review, because for me to say that this is a review would mean that I've taken a deep dive into all the features that this has to offer, and I just haven't taken the time to do that. This is my first impressions of me using this for the last few weeks, and I'm using this inside Studio One 5. I really wasn't liking using it just as a standalone, and I'm honestly not sure how many people are really going to use this as a standalone. But the first thing I have to say about this is that I don't find that it's intuitive. I see the word beginner thrown around a lot with this, and this just, in my opinion, isn't for beginners and just really isn't easy to use. There's still some things that, like choke groups, I haven't figured out how to do choke groups, and for me to say something is intuitive would mean that I can look at it and really quickly and easily I'm able to grasp it. If I'm looking for something, it doesn't take me that long to find it, and that's just not what I get out of this here. So for really just laying down drum beats, I've found that it's been cool for that, but getting into the more advanced things, this is really something I'd have to sit down and learn, and I just don't see myself and honestly many people doing that if you're already doing production inside of a DAW. So I had some questions about MPC Beats that I emailed Akai support. And so 6 years ago when I reviewed this, Akai support never emailed me back. And I'm not shocked to say I've emailed them twice and I still haven't received any reply back, and I don't expect to. So, I mean, Akai's tech support just, I don't know, it's hard for me to, get behind a product when I'm not going to hear back from tech support, because for me to get the full advantage of this, I feel like I would need one of Akai's controllers. And I know they just came out with the MPK, I think it's the little mini the 25 key controller Mark III that just recently came out. I thought about getting it to work with this, but it just kind of hit me. If I'm not going to hear back from tech support, if I have an issue with it, then I'm stuck. So let's get into another thing that I complained about 6 years ago was the compressors, how they all look the same and they didn't have gain reduction. And 6 years later, we still have. His opto compressor looks exactly like the vintage compressor, and there's still no gain reduction that I can tell going on here. Another really odd thing I noticed is that with the ratio at 1, I could still hear compression, which makes zero sense to me, because a ratio of 1 to me is saying 1-to-1, which there's no compression happening at 1-to-1 ratio, and I could still hear compression. Actually, let's go ahead and demonstrate that. So I've got a track here that I've quickly put together using MPC Beats, and let me take off the opto, and we'll just leave the vintage. And so yeah, I've got ratio of 1, and I think this is the bypass here. Yeah, we'll bypass this, and you can hear the compression happening on a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, so bringing the threshold down, we clearly hear compression, very obviously. On a ratio of 1, that makes 0 sense to me. But again, I'm using this in Studio One. I would use my Studio One plugins or any other third-party plugins, so I honestly really don't even care about these plugins from Akai. Let's jump over here to the browser. So the browser, I do like how this is laid out. So you've got, this is your instruments. You got the samples and programs, and these are your demo and templates. And then most time you probably spend is here in this MPC Beats producer kits. So to give a positive here to Akai, this comes with a lot of content, especially for free. So I'm happy with this, and I like the way that this is broken down into genres, because it quickly lets me find what I'm looking for to match the beat that I've made. So I do really like that. The One of my favorite things about MPC is the 16 level feature. So I've got my drum kit over here on bank A. Bank B, I've pulled in a sample just to demonstrate the 16 levels. So if you're not familiar with MPC workflow, the 16 levels, when you click it, it's going to, you have, let's see, tune, filter. I'm not familiar with layer, attack. So I think on my 2000 XL, I had tune, filter, and decay. And I think I had velocity. Maybe it's tune, filter, and velocity. So it's like we have a few more features here from what I remember. But I used to love going to tune, which stretches the sound across the pads. So we close that. So now this sample I have here, if you click it, and I'm going to demonstrate this clicking it because I can't play it with my PreSonus Atom controller. So I'm going to click it, and you can hear how it stretches across. Okay. It rang out for some time there. But so that's fun to do, but I can't do it with my pads, with my PreSonus Atom pads. So, and even though I don't want to hit that key again because it just rings out for so long, but you can see that on C3 right now is where I'm hitting on the Atom, but that's not going to trigger the 16 level pads. They only work for the drum pads. So that's why I say that I feel like I would need an Akai controller to really get the full effect of using MPC Beats. Another thing I want to point out, so using this in Studio One, MPC Beats comes with 8 instrument tracks and 2 audio tracks. I can do a drum pattern in 8 tracks, so that's fine. And I also said, well, hey, if I need more, I'll just create another instance of MPC Beats. You can only use one instance of MPC Beats inside your DAW. So from what I know, the full version, you can use as many instances as you want. It's still not, it sucks, but I get it. But with 8 instrument tracks, that should be enough for most people to do a drum pattern with. So I'm not really messed up about that. And I'll say one of the last things here I'll get to is I saw in a video for this, I don't know how to get to the sample part, but you can hit the pads, at least with the Akai controller that they were using, you can hit the pads to set the splice points for your sample. I thought that was really cool, and I believe that's how Serato Sampler works, but the hitting the pads to set your splice points I thought was really nice. One thing I want to note is, so yeah, this is free, but the way Kai plans to cash in on this is with the expansion packs for it. So I will say that the stock sounds that come with this I really like. I think they're really good. the expansion packs for these, the cheapest one I saw was $29, and most of them were $39. I do feel 39 is a little high for an expansion pack. Now, I guess by me saying that, let me see if I can find out really quickly, like how big is this expansion pack? 'Cause, if I'm getting something like, I don't know, 6-8 gigs of content, then yeah, that might be worth it. And I think the content that comes with this is about 4 gigs. I do not see it on the site here. No. Okay. So, oh, it also looks like you can demo. You can demo the expansion pack, so that's pretty cool. That's a good thing. Yeah, I'd have to see how big these expansion packs are because yeah, $40 seems pricey to me for an expansion pack. I wanted something that Impact and Studio One was starting to feel basic to me, and I wanted something to do a little more with it. And so I like this in the fact that I can just lay down some simple drum patterns with it. But it is going to take me a while to really learn the whole software, and I really don't know if I'm going to. I don't know. I seriously doubt that I'm going to take the time to really dig in and really learn this. So, that's my first impressions here of MPC Beats. Download it, give it a try. Oh, so last thing I'll say, the full version, you have the option to go to the full version, which is $199, which that's high to me. Maybe $99 I could see, but for $199 just to get the full software, that's I wouldn't do that, and I'll leave it at that. But that's my impressions of Akai MPC Beats. I have a link in the description where you can go check it, learn more about it, and download it for yourself. All right, any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time. I want to invite everyone to check out my new podcast, the Faders Up Podcast. It's a podcast about pro audio. I've got me and 3 other Nashville professionals. We're discussing pro audio topics, pro audio lifestyle. And it's available on Apple Podcasts and it's available on Spotify. So check it out, rate it, let me know what you think.